keys to the game, Len.
Well, again, when you're talking about Oregon, they've got to be able to spread the floor, create those driving lanes for the quick Porter and Brooks. And when you talk about Florida, obviously the power game. Go inside, and certainly against Butler, they needed perimeter shooting. So it's all about inside out.
Tip controlled by Florida. This is Corey Brewer at 6'9", a very quick and slashing player. Torian Green at the point.
Well, against Butler, we mentioned, JB, the dilemma you have trying to guard the big guys inside. Do you do it one-on-one? Do you play zone, as Oregon seems to be doing right now? Or do you double and triple and allow the perimeter shooters to spot up? Torian Green, absolutely terrific. 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, which really opened things up for the inside game.
And the challenge shows itself in the opening seconds. Tawan Porter picking up his first personal foul. Again, the size advantage, the front court of Florida, a distinct advantage. How will the Ducks of Oregon handle it? We'll see. Humphrey, sharp shooting guard off the front of the iron. Loose ball controlled by Florida. Good hustle on the ground. Horford had it. Joakim Noah blocked from behind by Marty Lunin.
Well, actually, I got to give the officials tremendous credit for allowing these guys to go and battle for the ball. Not a quick whistle. And then on the ensuing play, the nice block by Lewin, who is going to sleep around and try to block shots, try to be a pain inside the paint.
Corey Brewer handling the ball, defended by Bryce Taylor. Nice matchup here with Torian Green, who drops in the 3. He and Aaron Brooks. We'll see how this one works its way out.
Well, Torian Green has definitely come out of a slump. We talked about 5 of 8 from beyond the arc against Butler and hits his first shot there. Coming in, he was just shooting 29% in 10 tournament games. So that's a sight for sore eyes for Gator fans, and it really will help the inside game go if he can stretch the D.
Florida's big men can defend on the perimeter. This is Lunin taking Joakim Noah down low. Block. The favor returned by Noah.
Well, that's a message heard loud and clear. See what effect that has on Lunin.
Brooks. The Ducks will need him to get uncorked for sure. The Pac-10's leading scorer had a modest game on Friday. He'll need a strong one today.
Absolutely right, JB. Only 8 points, 2 of 8 from the field. Did have 5 assists, though, but his offense is sorely needed. When you have both he and Porter hitting on all cylinders, it's very difficult for defenses to cover both.
Noah can play well facing up the basket, but he uses his back to the basket move. Short. Rebounded by Lunin. Good defensive stop that time. This is Porter.
Lunin deceptively strong now. He didn't allow Noah to push him down, held his ground.
Tawan Porter off the mark. Boy, he lit up the place. 8 threes on Friday night. Torian Green back to Florida. It'll go the other way, back for the Ducks.
Yeah, for Florida, the scary thing is in the open court, in transition, Tawan Porter with his quickness bearing down on you. You can't help but play back on your heels. Hopefully he won't go by you, but then he explodes straight up in the air and can bust a 3 from at least 25 feet.
You saw the shot of Billy Donovan, who's done a masterful job of keeping his team focused all season despite a little slump. And a good move to the basket. Brooks showing a much more definitive purpose for this, if you will, driving to the basket.
And you saw the good spacing right there, allowing him the lanes to the basket.
Brewer with the height advantage on Taylor. Good spin move. I tell you what, 6'9", this kid can certainly handle and slash.
Well, Corey Brewer, again, he sets that all up with his tremendous outside shooting. And you're right, at 6'9", not a lot of guys can bother him on the perimeter.
And Brewer out there on Brooks, 6'9", on 6 feet. And Porter traveling that time. As you take a look at Brewer and what he can do with the ball.
Well, again, Corey Brewer, tremendously talented. You know, his nickname is the drunken dribbler because many times he just doesn't look comfortable handling it. But right there, about as sweet as you can get off the spin.
Reminiscent of a martial arts move, if you will, the drunken master, kind of faking that way as well. Down low, good quick hands of Oregon, deflecting the ball away from Horford. It'll stay on this end.
Well, every time the ball goes down, you expect somebody from the backside, as Oregon now looking to match up. But someone from the backside help is going to come in. And if you look at how far in the corners Lee Humphrey and others go to try to create more room.
Porter,
see, that's where it's dangerous.
Noah with the rebound. Torian Green pushing it up for the Gators. Lee Humphrey banging it home from the corner.
And JB, what created that was Aaron Brooks had to come down and help on the big man until his teammate got there, and then Humphrey by himself.
Hairston with a nice lefty, didn't drop. This is Torian Green. This Florida squad has handled being the targeted squad all season long, despite, again, a little stretch where they lost 3 or 4 from February 17th to 27th, but they've bounced back.
Well, they certainly have, and again, it's one of those things that you take a look right here. Look at Aaron Brooks on Al Horford, and now look how wide open Lee Humphrey is, because Brooks had to hold Horford until the big man for Oregon got down, and then it was too late. Lee Humphrey just filled it up.
That last foul was on Aaron Brooks, his first. 8-5 ball game. Florida on top in the early going here. 16-10 in the first half. Humphrey, sharp shooting down to Brewer. Brewer, a 3. Back with Aaron, rebounded by Noah. Strong follow by Horford. And a foul down on this end, and it may well be on Horford, who is awfully strong, but they call it on Noah. Joakim Noah with the personal foul.
I believe that the key to winning a national championship has much to do with defense. And if you look at the last 5 national champions, they've held opponents either under or right at 40% field goal percentage defense. Currently, the teams in the field right now, you take a look, it might be a guide to the final, who knows? But in the end, terrific defensive teams up and down.
And the coaches that underscore that certainly enjoy success on the floor. Gosh, man, dusting off the cobwebs some 200 years ago when we played, that was still the message that coaches drove home. We could have fun on the offensive end, but it starts on the defensive end.
And again, I make the point over and over again, there are times during this tournament and during games that your offense is going to go south. You got to have a way where you're going to stop the other guys, string together some stops until you get back in track. Ohio State's a perfect example in their comeback wins.
The Oregon Ducks, the only team to have won the Pac-10 tournament title twice since it was brought back in 2002. To the hoop, strong move by Malik Harrison. Strong game, good body, suited for that, Len.
Absolutely, and with that strength and his size, able to take Al Horford off the bounce as he enticed Horford out on the wing.
Three seconds down low, it'll go Ducks ball.
And again, Oregon with good spacing, looking to get some isolations with their quickness on the perimeter, even with their forwards.
Taking their time with the offensive set. Brooks looking to work on Green. Brooks much more determined today, off the mark though, rebounded by Horford. Green up to Brewer. Size, scoring.
And size and explosiveness. Corey Brewer literally jumped over to Juan Porter.
Oh, good move by Bryce Taylor. Talk about jumping over you.
Well, we're seeing two teams with athleticism beyond the pale.
Good defensive play by Brooks, deflecting and taking the pass of Torian Green. Bryce Taylor with that move, reminiscent of his dad, Brian Taylor, an outstanding player at Princeton and in the NBA. You played with him or played against him?
I certainly did. And first of all, Corey Brewer. Look at him. Even Juwan Porter didn't want any piece of Corey Brewer, but Brewer would have jumped over him anyway. And Bryce Taylor, obviously, it doesn't matter if Al Horford's there in the middle. He would not be denied. And when you talk about Brian, a tremendous player. Didn't have the ups like his son, though. They say it skips a generation.
He'll argue with you on that one. 10-9 ball game, Florida on top. And we're going to go the other way. Oregon's ball. Oregon, we will probably see some of their bigs, depending upon how things go. We'll see some of Oregon's big men. Ernie Kent mentioned that he knows about the size advantage of Florida, so some guys on the bench who normally don't get time will probably see some time today.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be able to exercise some use of his bench, even just to rest his starters, because he's got to be able to match Florida's depth. If nothing else, just eat minutes. But 5 Florida turnovers thus far. you know, this accounts for their slow starts. They seem to take a while to get in the rhythm, and you give Oregon some credit defensively for being a bother.
Marty Lunan penetrating to the hoop there, fouled by Dan Werner, the 6'7" freshman off the bench, and that's his second personal foul. Corey Brewer will take a seat on the bench. Walter Hodge, number 15, in for Florida, the young man from Puerto Rico.
And this is the Florida depth that we're talking about. They got about 9 guys that can come in and play.
And Hairston has about 9 different facets to his game as he drops in the jumper. A very versatile player. He and Tawan Porter having played at Detroit's Renaissance High School. Torian Green pulls up for the jumper. Rebounded strongly by Werner. Hodge penetrating. And he is fouled by Marty Lunan.
JB, look at Walter Hodge right there. He is on the floor because he provides that energy lift. Terrific backup, can play both positions at guard. And really a guy who can score. Could be playing for an awful lot of teams as a starter. But very happy with his role right now. 6-foot sophomore. Recognizes he's going to get his time.
Javon Catron, a 6'6", 230-pounder, in for the Ducks, replacing Bryce Taylor as Hodge goes for his second shot. Coaching staff very impressed with Hodge's improvement from his freshman year, not forcing shots as he drops down the second free throw. Tie ball game at 11, 13-19 left in the first half of play. Tawan Porter playing within himself in the early going as he's getting a feel for things. Stolen by Brewer, intended for Hairston. Brewer. That will be a charging foul. Catron holding his position.
Well, you can recognize right now Oregon's goal defensively is to keep Corey Brewer out of the middle. And the help side comes over nicely. Jovan Caton just does an excellent job of stepping in. Corey Brewer thinks it's going one way, but oops, it's going the other.
6th Florida turnover, 2 on offensive foul. Brooks rebounded by Noah. Noah trying to get untracked. He wanted to come back to school as opposed to taking what many thought were tons of riches waiting for him at the next level. Wants to win another championship. He, along with Horford. Horford has it stolen. Good hustle on the floor by Lunan, Brooks, and company. Possession arrow is the other way. It'll go Oregon ball.
Well, so far, Joakim Noah having some problems right now. 0 of 3 on the floor, shooting not even close. And then he compounds some of the problems by creating fouls. He is the emotional leader of this team. When things start going well for him, he kind of lifts everyone. But he's got to find a way right now to get some energy, and if the shot's not falling, do some of the other things, particularly on the defensive end on the boards, to keep his team going.
Been a different year for Noah versus last year, where he was kind of the media and public darling. A lot of teams, a lot of campuses, if you will, certainly have treated him just the opposite. Hairston, strong move to the basket by Malik Hairston, not showing any fear at 6'6". He's got 6 on the afternoon.
Well, despite getting that first shot blocked by Al Horford, Hairston has no back down. I thought sometimes that might send a mental message to a player and he starts to shy away, but not Hairston.
I would think a Detroit player wouldn't show any fear. Noah. Good movement around the hoop. Now that was a poised move by Noah as he goes up and is fouled. He'll be at the free throw line when we come back.
We've alluded to the slow starts of Florida during this NCAA tournament, and you take a look at the numbers right there. The first half seemingly trying to get on track, and obviously the second half has gone their way. But a big contributor to the problems they have in the first half are turnovers, 7 thus far.
I mentioned Bill Donovan doing an excellent job of keeping his team focused. Nicely so, in that the team hasn't been contaminated by ego. And one of the things you continue to hear about Noah is that many so-called experts are saying how much money he left on the table by not going pro last year. You disagree?
Oh, that's laughable. I mean, here's a guy that averages 12 points, 8 rebounds a game on a very well-balanced team. He's athletic. He plays the game with passion. He's versatile. You know, how can you not appreciate those skills? And anybody who says that is playing games, you know, is almost intellectually dishonest. Everybody on the next level knows this young man can play. He came back for the right reasons, to play with his teammates, continue to go to school and enjoy the game of basketball in a collegiate setting. And I would recommend that for everybody. You get better here. You don't get better anywhere else.
That was his first trip to the free throw line, now taking a seat on the bench. Noah and Horford, 17 of 21 together at the free throw line on Friday night against Butler. Luna, nice pass down low to Katron, back to the corner. And Taylor, who had a big Pac-10 tournament championship game.
Well, he was absolutely perfect in that game against USC. 11 for 11 from the field, including 7 of 7 from beyond the arc. And right there, an excellent inside-out job by Oregon, taking a page out of the Gators book.
Torian Green for 3, off the mark. Still kept alive. Chris Richard over to Torian Green. And Brooks will be called for the blocking foul. Brooks, that will be his second personal foul.
Well, we talked about Florida's turnovers. They've got 7, and a lot of them are just really bad passes, although a couple of times Oregon gets their hands in there. That last one was an excellent athletic move by Aaron Brooks. But Florida maybe just a little bit too nonchalant with the passes. Got to be a little more crisp.
And there it is, an example of that, Len. Taken advantage of, stolen by Oregon, and Tawan Porter, looking for the mark, is fouled, has yet to score.
Well, Tawan Porter exercised intelligence on that one. Everybody's playing him for the jump shot. Just gave a little subtle hesitation and then exploded to the basket. Even at 5'6", you got to respect him off the bounce.
Porter for my neck of the woods. Tawan Porter, first 2 points of the game. 18-13 lead by Oregon, biggest lead of the game. The Ducks on top. Pac-10 tournament champions certainly know about competition, and they are playing aggressively.
But right now, Florida trying to give different looks right now. Instead of posting up Horford and Richard down low and just trying to go straight into them, high screens trying to free the perimeter guys and then get the big guys on the move. Rolls and reversal of the ball.
Good talking on defense, good switch off on defense, and it forced a travel. That was an excellent defensive stand there, and that is the 9th turnover by the Gators, plaguing them here in the first half.
Well, a terrific illustration of speed and quickness versus power and size. And on the perimeter, Oregon demonstrating that quickness. 9th turnover for Florida. And again, a lot of it has to do with the matchup situation on that perimeter. Uh-oh.
Still hasn't found the range yet. And Lynn, I was just about to comment about Tawan Porter. Happy to see he's playing within himself as opposed to trying to force it, but he's trying to get a groove on, but not at the expense of the team.
Well, that last one, I said, uh-oh, because it looked good. It was right in his rhythm. And he complained he got hit on the arm.
Foul underneath. And they called that one on Javon Katron. And that's his second personal foul, one of the few big men with frequent playing time for Ernie Kent and his staff, and we'll see how quickly he'll go to some of his bigs who don't get much playing time.
Well, that's quite a battle between Big Katron and Big Chris Richard for Florida.
Lee Humphrey nailing it from 3. The sharpshooter, when he's hitting shots, it does have a tendency to deflate the opponent. And a young man who will tell you, by the way, that he carries a pillow that his Nana, his grandma, made full of chicken feathers, and he's not ashamed of it. Good move to the hoop by Malik Hairston. This guy plays with tremendous poise.
Oh, he certainly does. And again, he's a guy who is taking his time, exercising the patience with the ball handling. Once he finds a lane, though, he's going to explode, get head and shoulders past his man. And that's the difficulty the Florida bigs have with a guy like Malik Hairston, his mobility.
That foul was on Chris Richard, his first, as Hairston, a junior out of Detroit. Hairston has had to deal with a number of injuries that he's overcome, groin, heel, and abdominal injuries, and still playing at only about 70% as he drops that free throw, and Oregon is up by 4. Hairston with 8.
They get good perimeter pressure by Oregon. And that really prevents the straight-in entry passes, makes those entry passes down low much more difficult. See the hook pass by Humphrey right there.
Which was a nice pass to Richard, and Richard with the little jump hook. Excellent pass, good strong move by Richard.
Boy, you look at that body of Chris Richard, you don't think that he's got the nimbleness of a foot to be able to get himself in position like that. But, you know, he's a dancer.
Reminiscent of back in the day, Lynn. I think you can move pretty well on the floor. Nice move down low. Boy, Hairston, he's got a nice package down low. And for somebody playing at 70%, I'd hate to see him at 100%. 4 for 5 from the field. And a foul's going to be called on Lunan, his second personal foul on Marty Lunan.
Well, you saw Florida try to get the ball into Al Horford for obvious reasons. Only one field goal attempt, Noah 3, neither of them connecting. Noah getting to the free throw line. But again, it's the pressure on the perimeter that's making it difficult, forcing the perimeter guys to have to move. And when they pick up their dribble, they're crowded, and it's difficult to throw the ball down low.
Adam Zahn, one of the bench players that I was alluding to that Ernie Kent would probably get in there, and he goes in because his front court, 2 personal fouls for Lunan and for Katron, and also Aaron Brooks in the backcourt. So something to watch there as Al Horford drops in the first.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is against Butler, Noah and Horford combined for 21 free throws, 17 to 21, as we mentioned before. So they got to the line a lot. Didn't score an awful lot from the field, but it was a war of attrition.
And the referee signals that it's off of Bryce Taylor. It'll come back to the Gators. 8:26 left in the first half of play. Ducks on top 22-19.
And the point that's being made with Noah and Horford on the free throw line is they will wear through the front line of opponents. And for Oregon, they've got a pretty thin front line.
And we'll see whether or not it takes a toll on the Ducks physically, stamina-wise down the stretch as Noah double team kicks it out to Humphrey. Rebounded strong by Chris Richard. The height advantage on the inside paying dividends. Brewer for 3. Rebounded again by Noah.
When you block out, you can't stand straight up. You got to get your behind into the guy to create some room for yourself.
And yet another rebound garnered by the Florida Gators. 9 Florida offensive rebounds. You weren't commenting on my ample hips, were you?
Oh, do you really?
No, I don't. Exactly right.
I was using you as a model.
And you did an excellent job throughout your career, not only in college, but the pros of doing just that and blocking out.
Well, you don't have that much lift. You got to do the fundamental things. And right now, I think Oregon has to do it because they've had created turnovers. They've scored off the turnovers. But they've been pretty much neutralized by their inability to keep Florida off the glass.
Adam Zahn in for the Ducks, along with Katron, Hairston, Tawan Porter, and Bryce Taylor, the 5 in black jerseys for the Ducks of Oregon. On top, 22-20, 7:32 left in the first half. Hairston, who's had a nice game, trying to get Porter on track, and he can't yet. Hairston got away with going over the back that time. It goes Florida's way.
But Malik Hairston has been the story for Oregon. 4 or 5 from the field, 10 points, and he's utilized that mobility. He's drawn the Florida big guys out on the floor, been able to take them off the bounce, and Oregon has to look at that as an opportunity again in a need situation. Go to Malik Hairston.
Chris Richard working on the inside to free himself. Torian Green from the outside. Torian Green dropping home to 3. He's got 6. Florida on top by 1.
And again, Torian Green playing with much more offensive confidence right now. I think that game against Butler, where it's 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, has really given him a lift.
Stolen. Humphrey.
And that was a case of Bryce Taylor not meeting the ball. And a nice job by Lee Humphrey to shoot the gap.
And Kent, Ernie Kent, not wanting the lead to get any bigger, calls a timeout. A 7-0 run by the Gators, and Ernie Kent called a timeout.
Well, he certainly had to. Again, he recognizes his team is getting manhandled on the boards, but then the turnovers compound the situation, and he's got to make sure he shakes his team out of the doldrums. As I mentioned, Bryce Taylor didn't come and meet that pass and allowed Lee Humphrey to shoot the gap and actually get a layup. Lee Humphrey normally known for hitting threes.
Your thoughts about the ebb and flow of this game so far, Len?
Well, obviously the quickness of Oregon early had some impact on Florida, but now Florida's gotten their sea legs, so to speak, and they're starting to utilize their size advantage. Right there, changing a shot by Malik Hairston.
Positioned himself nicely. I really like the way Hairston collected himself, Len, to go up strong. He's got 12 points to lead the Ducks.
Yeah, he's demonstrating patience, and he's utilizing some moves, some ball fakes to get Florida out of position, and then he exploits it.
Defense of the Ducks trying to keep the big guys off the blocks. Not a good job there. And Joakim Noah makes them pay the price. Jovan Catron with the foul. You get it that low, damage will be done.
Well, I tell you where the play broke down was the hard hedge out on the high screen didn't work. And Torian Green got to the spot, and he dumped it down low, and just a nice little drop step. Catron on the high side of Joakim Noah, and Noah drop step to the baseline, and it was all she wrote.
Third personal on Jovan Catron and into the game. One of the bigs I was alluding to earlier that Ernie Kent will have to get into the game. Ray Schaefer, a seldom used 7-footer, who he will be trying to, Ernie Kent, get some minutes and even some fouls from to stem the tide of the Florida big men.
Yeah, I mean, when you get guys that are coming off the bench that don't play a lot, Schaefer's on, you're looking for them to prevent the easy baskets, and if they have to foul, you do that. But again, going back to the Oregon defense, they've got to do a better job on the high screen because that allows the ball to reverse, and then you got single coverage down low, and if you let Noah or Horford get single coverage down low, they're going to hurt Oregon.
A 10-2 run by the Gators, have them up 28-24, 5:34 left in the first half. Down low to Schaefer. Seldom used, but a nice move. Big fella.
Another dancer right there. Sweet drop step along the baseline.
And used the basket nicely to shield.
Seeing some pretty quality fundamental post play so far. And there's the back down by the Godfather.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. His first field goal of the game, Horford, who was a flat-out beast against Butler the other night, though the Butler players will tell you, hey, wait a minute, he was backing us down all night. Let's emphasize some of the rules, and say he just can't back us in all night.
Just making offers Oregon can't refuse.
Brooks to Taylor.
Getting a little physical out here right now. Again, early part of the game, the speed, quickness, finesse of Oregon.
3 on the shot clock. Are they aware of that? Hairston is. Strong rebound that time by Adam Zahn, who hits the floor hard. And we will stay on this end. Good aggressive move for that offensive rebound.
And again, this is exactly what Al Horford did against Butler. Use that strength, contact, and once he feels that contact, the quickness to reverse. I mean, that was so quick. Schaefer was left standing in the spot where the contact was made.
That foul was on Al Horford, his first. 4-point Florida lead. Make it 3 with that first free throw offering by Adam Zahn, who, believe it or not, the coaches say is the best leaper on the team. I think Bryce Taylor might have something to say about that. As Corey Brewer takes a seat on the bench for the Gators. Back in is Joakim Noah.
Well, we talked about Adam Zahn, Ray Schaefer coming in the game looking to just try to eat minutes until Oregon gets himself reestablished, but they've come in and made some pretty good contributions.
Noah with the rebound. 4:20 left in the first half of play. 3-point Gators lead. Horford. Back to Humphrey. Humphrey. Radar.
Well, the one thing for Lee Humphrey that he has recognized at 6'2", he's got a sizable advantage over either Aaron Brooks or Tawan Porter. Those are the guys who wind up closing on him. And you talk about a backspin. That backspin tore up that net. You couldn't get a more perfect rotation than that shot.
Spurtability. I like that one a lot as well, too, Greg. And just to statistically embellish the point, Florida from the backcourt with Lee Humphrey leading away 17 points, and the starting backcourt for Oregon only 7.
And that's pretty much according to plan. It happened against Butler, where it was the outside that set up the inside. They're starting to stretch the floor, are Green and Humphrey, and it's going to make it difficult on Oregon.
A little defensive change here for the Gators in a zone, a 2-3 zone.
Yeah, they've kind of floated in and out of that to give Oregon different looks. It kind of slows the pace a little bit, and it really takes away from the driving lanes for the guard.
Except if you're Malik Hairston penetrating and dishing to Brooks, you can still employ man-to-man principles against that zone, and they got into the open pockets that time. 33-29, Florida on top. 3:29 left in the first half of play. Horford. Loose ball picked up. This is Bryce Taylor. Ahead to Schaefer. Back out to Porter. Will he connect? Still has yet to find the mark. Taylor with the rebound attempt. Kept alive. Taylor with the loose ball. A fresh 35. And a deep three by Aaron Brooks.
Well, even if Tawan Porter may be thinking a little bit on his jump shot, Aaron Brooks is bordering on being unconscious. As he gets more touches, his confidence grows.
Second three for Brooks. He's got 10 to complement the 12 that Clark Kellogg was talking about. Hairston has already delivered for the Ducks. 1 point game. Torian Green. Rebounded by Chris Richard, again emphasizing the height advantage. This is Humphrey. Boy, is he on the mark, even getting the drop. Lee Humphrey, 4 threes. He's got 14 in the first half, and Florida on top by 4. A challenging day for Tawan Porter. The little big man blistered the Nets for 33 on Friday against the running Rebs of UNLV. Hasn't found the mark today, Len.
Not yet. Let us not forget that against UNLV on Friday, he went scoreless the first 11.5 minutes and wound up with 33 points. So, you know, he's a little bit of dynamite right there, just looking for a spark.
Meanwhile, Brooks is providing the spark and a little dynamite with that drive. Brooks, again, the Pac-10 scoring leader with 12 points, and it's a 2-point lead by Florida. Humphrey off the back of the iron. Loose ball controlled by Porter. Here comes the man nicknamed Mighty Mouse. Kicks it out to Taylor. Rebounded by Torian Green.
But you know what? That's the way Oregon has to play. They've got to take advantage of the perimeter.
But it's Torian Green and the Gators who are taking advantage of the perimeter. Torian Green with 9 to go along with the 14 by Humphrey in the backcourt. That 10-minute net delay certainly seems to have sparked the play from these two teams, having gotten a little bit of a breather there. Brooks slicing to the middle.
Yeah, again, up at the top, everybody's spread on the wings and in the corners, leaving some gaps for Aaron Brooks to exploit. But looking at Tawan Porter, after Torian Green hit that last shot, you see a little bit of kind of dejection on his face, and I really think that the defensive part of the game is bothering Porter. That Green at his size can get his shot anytime he wants over the 5'6" Porter.
Humphrey in and out. Boy, he is right there on the mark. Good tip of the loose ball by Porter ahead to Taylor.
Well, it's not bothering Tawan Porter that much. Presence of mind not only to get the loose ball, but to kick it out.
There are other parts of the game like assists.
Absolutely.
.39 seconds left in the half. Florida nursing a 1-point lead.
Again, the high screens give the guard a chance to reverse.
And Green, nice job of using his body to draw the foul, and it'll be called on Malik Hairston. Second personal on Malik Hairston.
Well, again, you look at the guards for both teams. Lee Humphrey, obviously a catch-and-shoot guy, the beneficiary of a lot of inside-out. And Aaron Brooks starting to play like Aaron Brooks. First game, 2 of 8 from the field, only 8 points. But the Pac-10's leading scorer finding the driving lanes, and that gives him confidence after knocking down a few layups to be able to pull up and hit some perimeter shots.
Marty Lunan coming in and replacing Ray Schaefer for the Ducks.
So again, Marty Lunan presenting a little more offensive firepower for Oregon. They should get the last possession here in the half, and they're looking to have everybody a threat.
In and out on the second one for Torian Green. 23 seconds left in the half. Oregon will try to tie or go ahead here. Brooks, Hairston, Lunan, Porter, and Taylor, the 5 in black for the Oregon Ducks. 8 seconds on the shot clock. Brooks picked off by Noah, and that will wrap up the first half with the score Florida 40, Oregon 38.
And you take it to Juan Porter, you take it, he's not getting the kinds of looks that he wants. He's got taller guys in his face. Florida's done a nice job of finding him. And he's kind of frustrated. He's also frustrated by the fact that the guy he's guarding, Torian Green, has been 3 out of 4 from beyond the arc. And Torian Green can get his shot anytime he wants. Obviously, he's got a tremendous size advantage over Juan Porter. Porter right now switched off onto Lee Humphrey.
And again, given all of those challenges, the Ducks trailing by only 2. Brewer inside to Noah. That's where Florida will continue to do damage. And also keeping, as you've already indicated, Len, the Ducks from getting that transition game going to pick up some easy baskets. Brooks, deep jumper off the mark, rebounded by Brewer.
That shot was a little bit too quick for Ernie Kent's liking. Again, you got to be able to answer in this type of situation. Team comes down and scores an easy one. You got to take some time, and you got to try to get your easy one.
And to get a good look at that, you're right, Len. Each possession has got to be valued, especially if you can get the transition game going like this very often. Porter, nice dish by Porter. And Al Horford will pick up the foul, hammering Marty Lewin.
That's a great example that Juan Porter is not dwelling on the poor shooting night. He's still doing what he can do, and he gets in the gap, ever so slight gap. But nevertheless, he fits in it, draws the defenders, and finds Marty Lewin. And that's what you have to do. You've got to, if you're Juan Porter, you've got to do some other things right now to make Florida respect you. Right now, they're playing you for the jumper. Take it to the basket.
First point of the afternoon for Marty Lewin. And again, an excellent move on Lewin's part to wait and draw the foul as he picks up his second free throw and a 2-point game still.
That's what a good big man will do. He'll wait for his guard to draw his man, and then he makes himself available, and Lewin did that.
Hairston defending Brewer. Brewer doing a nice job. I tell you, he really plays under control when he's penetrating at 6'9", wisp thin, but he gets it done.
And again, that's going against the Oregon strategy. They need to keep Corey Brewer out of the middle.
Looking for Lewin down low, but good job on the part of Florida pushing him off the blocks. Hairston traveled that time, looking to take it to the hoop. Travel. The pace not to the Ducks' liking. They like to get it up and down. We talked during the open that Ernie Kent's squad likes the speed game, but Florida has done a masterful job on the boards and controlling tempo, and certainly Humphrey and Green from the backcourt doing the damage. Down low to Horford, one-on-one against Lewin. And Lewin will pick up the foul. Third personal on Marty Lewin.
Marty Lewin wondering what happened there. It wasn't the fact that he challenged the shot with a hand in the air. The part was, watch his right hand. Horford goes up. That the right hand looks like, at least from the official's angle, that he kind of pushed Horford as Horford kind of leaned away, and that was the signal to push.
We'll see how long Ernie Kent will wait before he considers making a substitution for Lewin with his third personal. As you take a look, UCLA, already having advanced to the Final Four, will await the winner of this contest, Florida and Oregon. Oregon and UCLA met twice in the regular season and split.
And I'll tell you what, UCLA probably aching to get a rematch with Florida, who pretty much took them out of a championship convincingly last year.
Torian Green doing an excellent job defensively on Juan Porter, frustrating his efforts there. So Torian Green showing his basketball skills. Really doesn't even have to be pleased with what he's seen defensively by his backcourt, by and large. See if the Ducks can get something going on the offensive end. And look at the job that Horford trying to do on Porter, who blows by and kicks it out to Brooks with a wide open three. That's Porter's game. That's what the Ducks would like to do.
Yeah, he's got the ability to get inside the paint, and he did a nice job once they ultimately got the mismatch with Al Horford. Backed up and then took Horford to the basket.
Brooks with 17, average 18 a game. Foul on the play here. We'll stay at this end.
Look at the mismatch right here. And you've got Juan Porter with Al Horford on him, he blows by him and draws 3 white shirts into the paint and then creates that open look for Aaron Brooks. And if Tawan Porter's not hitting jump shots, he still has a role to play.
3rd personal whistled against Malik Harrison to go along with 3 personals on Marty Lunan and 3 on Jovan Catron, the big men for the Ducks. And it's 17-18 left in the second half. Brewer. Rebounded strong by Bryce Taylor. Good block out.
Absolutely.
Of Joakim Noah.
It kept Noah off of his shot.
Brooks. Yeah, Brooks has found the range.
And there's the transition right there. Oregon rebounds. They'll get out in transition and utilize their quickness.
19 for Brooks. Good job of reacting quickly to Lee Humphrey, who certainly has burned them in the first half, knocking the ball out of bounds. 25 left on the shot clock as Walter Hodge comes in for the Gators, replacing Corey Brewer.
JB, both these teams doing a nice job of changing defenses. Again, Oregon now in the zone. Well, actually, they're in the man-to-man on the inbounds. They were in the zone on the last possession. And again, it forces Florida to stand and take a look.
Green. Oh, boy. Green is having an outstanding game offensively and defensively. The son of Sidney Green, former UNLV player and NBA player, having himself an outstanding afternoon. 4 threes. He's got 13.
And did you see Tawan Porter throw his hands up in the air when Green hit that shot? As I said, that's really bothering him.
And as well as Porter was bothered on that shot by the bigs of Florida. This is Green. Torian Green. Boy, he's in a groove.
And if you're Oregon, you cannot allow that. You can't allow a guy to go coast to coast with no one there to defend.
Ernie Kent trying to exhort his team on to get into a quicker pace when the basket is made. Lunan, blocked by Horford, stays with it and draws the foul. Marty Lunan at the free throw line for the Ducks. Young man from Redmond, Oregon, representing his state very well. A very strong back to the basket game, and I'm loving the fearless approach down there with the bigs of Florida.
Well, he's got to give some production. He's got to keep the big guys honest. You see him starting out on the wing in the corner, and he's got the mobility to put it on the floor and occupy the big guys.
And by the way, that last foul was on Al Horford, his 3rd personal foul. Humphrey. Chris Richard held on that loose ball there, and it will go against Aaron Brooks.
Well, that was a total mismatch right there. Chris Richard, big and wide. And I think Aaron Brooks is just holding on, trying to get some sunlight because Richard blocked it all out.
It's going to be a real tactical game now for Ernie Kent, because he's got a number of guys with 3 personal fouls, 4 guys with 3 personals. And Humphrey continuing to light it up. Lee Humphrey, the sharpshooter, with 17 points, 5 of those beyond the arc.
Well, I said in the first 5 minutes of this half, Ernie Kent had to make a decision, and he was going to roll the dice and see if the shooters from the perimeter for Florida can continue to hot hand. Well, come up snake eyes. You better get out there and start guarding guys, and you have to take the chance with your big men to guard the bigs for Florida one-on-one.
Harrison continues to go to the hoop nicely, as Seth Davis was talking about before, but Florida has done a nice job of controlling the tempo of Oregon, forcing them to play a half-court game.
Well, again, it's the size, really, that's been giving Oregon problems. You look at the foul situation, and it's the 3 frontline guys, as well as Aaron Brooks, that have the 3 fouls. And I think as soon as Billy Donovan becomes comfortable with where his team is and whatever type of lead that they have, they will make an effort to continue to pound it inside. And ultimately, we talked about that war of attrition, ultimately decimate the Oregon front line with foul trouble.
We'll see if, in fact, that plays out. Oregon 10 of 11 at the free throw line. And Ernie Kent has been doing a nice job of maintaining the feel of the game, calling timeouts at just the right time to keep Florida from expanding that lead and having the effect of demoralizing his troops mentally, attitudinally. 53-49, Florida on top, 15 left in the second half of play.
And you see Oregon in man-to-man, that's what they have to do. Can't play zone any longer, particularly with the way Humphrey is scoring.
Good job by Catron coming up with the loose ball. Brooks ahead to Taylor for the shot. Joakim Noah with the rebound, out to Hodge. Hodge, Brewer, Humphrey, Chris Richard, and Joakim Noah, the 5 in white. That was Walter Hodge with the left-handed layup. Up tempo for the Gators. They're up 55-49. Brooks decides to pick it up and scores. The Oregon faithful were a little disenchanted the last couple of years. Certainly last year, Brooks was having some challenges. Folks did not know about his girlfriend being pregnant, but the coach has really settled him down, and he's playing well today. The 10-month-old child he talks about really accounting for a stable approach this year to playing basketball.
Yeah, he just seems much more focused this year, had something to prove, and ultimately was the scoring champ for the Pac-10. But you just saw another example. Oregon, we talk about the defense they have to play on the big guys, but the one thing the perimeter guys can't do is allow straight drives to the basket.
Fourth personal foul on Jovan Catron. Marty Loon back in the game. And Joakim Noah working his way and using his height nicely over Malik Harrison. This is the challenge now for the Ducks and Ernie Kent. Again, with guys in foul trouble. 9 points, 7 rebounds for Joakim Noah, displaying patience out there. Harrison kept alive by Bryce Taylor. The loose ball knocked to the hands of Brooks.
Well, that's the only alternative. You got to crash the boards if you're Oregon, and you got to do it utilizing quickness and athleticism. You're not going to be able to grind it out down low in the paint with the size the Gators present.
Bryce is going to be called for the foul. Bryce Taylor of Oregon, and that is his first.
But again, James, it's just too easy for Florida to get in the paint. You know, they're getting the ball on the perimeter, going into triple threat position, little ball fake, 1 and 2 bounces. They're in the paint, and it puts all sorts of pressure on the back line of the Oregon D.
Well, and we talked earlier in the first half about Joakim Noah deciding to come back as well as Horford, and they also talked with Brewer. It was a collective decision to come back to try to do something, again, winning the national title, have some fun in college, and I certainly commend the decision to do such.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is what it's all about. We said it before. The moment I heard that, you know, you kind of want to jump up and do a backflip, that somebody's getting it. They understand.
Harrison making one of those common basketball mistakes, starting the drive before he saw the ball in. It's a turnover for the Ducks, who trailed by 6. Ernie Kent trying to keep his squad within range. The Gators are 13-13 away from trying to get back to the Final Four and to try and repeat that in Atlanta. UCLA, Ohio State already there. The winner here will complete the third piece of the puzzle for the Final Four. Brewer lost the handle temporarily and double dribble there. So good aggressive defense, double teaming by Taylor and Harrison of the Ducks. And the Ducks in foul trouble. Let's see how well they play with that. 4 guys on the Ducks with 3 personal fouls. Harrison, Lunan, Brooks, and Jovan Catron has 4.
Well, again, Oregon needs some offensive diversity. It's been Aaron Brooks who's carried in the last 10.5 minutes with 18 points.
Can Porter provide it? No, not there. Brooks has hit 8 of his last 9 shots. TP, Tuan Porter trying to get untracked, and Brooks trying to keep him fired up. Porter is 0 of 7 from the field. That after a hot night, Friday night, for 33 against the Rebs of UNLV. Nice pass, Brewer into Noah. Noah over top of the smaller Ducks. And Florida is on top, 61-53. Biggest lead of the game for the Gators. 12-13 left in regulation.
And Florida playing a 2-3 zone right now. Again, looking to slow Oregon down. Oregon wants to try to score points in a hurry, and the zone also prevents Aaron Brooks from getting too many drives to the basket.
And Brooks that time on the drive to the basket, fouled by Corey Brewer. Brooks, and you know, again, it's interesting, one guard or the other in this particular region. It was Tuan Porter on Friday. Brooks, a quiet game. Brooks hot today. Porter can't find the mark as Brewer takes a seat on the bench.
But you got to believe that Ernie Kent recognized that Aaron Brooks would not be as cold as he was Friday night. And he also realized Tuan Porter probably couldn't in any way, shape, or form be as hot as he was Friday night.
I'm sure he would just like to have Porter at his season average of 14, though. Hairston. Boy, Hairston continues to do the job down in the land of the Giants. Hairston doing his part with 16, 61, 55, 11, 38 left in regulation.
And he's a good guy to have down in the short corner against the 2-3 zone because of his mobility and his ability to pass the ball.
Torian Green, Joakim Noah, Walter Hodge, Chris Richard, Lee Humphrey, the 5 in white. Assist Torian Green. Off the mark, badly rebounded by Hairston, who's doing it all. Hairston, pass a little too low to Lunan, who collects himself back out to Tawan Porter, who sets it up. Good job by Florida on the defensive end, not allowing an easy basket on the transition.
Well, that's got to be a point of emphasis for them.
Porter, in the land of the Giants, is fouled as he takes it to the hoop.
Well, when you're hot, and when you're not, you have an afternoon like Tawan Porter. 33 points against Butler on scintillating shooting, and here he can't complain. He's not getting open looks. He's getting the looks. He's just not in rhythm. Fortunately for him, his running partner, Aaron Brooks, has seized the moment. And again, 0 for 7 from the field. Tawan Porter has been bothered because he's had to play a hot hand in Torian Green, who's got 15, who's 4 of 6 from beyond the arc. And I think that in the freshman's mind, he feels he's letting his team down by not playing stronger defense. But by the same token, the lack of experience is one of those things that needs to be shed right now. His teammates have to build him up and tell him what he can do to help him.
And he has been a poised player all season long. Tawan Porter drops in the second free throw. Tawan Porter with just 4 points on the afternoon, averaging 14.
And he may know what he needs to do, but the reinforcement from guys when you're having a bad night really goes a long way.
Picked off by Bryce Taylor, ahead to Tawan Porter. Hairston with the rebound and a fresh 35 for the Ducks. Hairston really a study in calm as well, too, for his squad.
Well, I was going to say, a lot of folks here today were here Friday, and every time Porter gets it and he rises up for that 3, you can hear them hold their breath in anticipation.
Brooks, hook shot off the mark. Noah with the strong rebound for the Gators. Noah, 8 boards, 61-57, 10:09 left in regulation. Gators, will they advance? Ducks trying to prevent that from happening to get to the Final Four themselves. You know, Florida plays like a squad, and as I look at the faces of the players, like they've been there before, they've handled all kinds of challenges, just going about it in a workmanlike fashion. Loose ball knocked out of bounds, it'll go the other way to the Ducks.
Well, and they recognize, again, taking that time to get it inside.
And the winner of this contest will move on to meet the UCLA Bruins. Bruins are winner and advancing to the Final Four.
Boy, if you watch UCLA the last couple of games, a tremendous defensive presence. Ability to step out and hard hedge, high screens, to go and double team the low block has really disrupted some pretty good teams. I'm talking about Kansas and Indiana before that.
As quick and up-tempo as UCLA likes to play, that defense has been a staple. Hairston couldn't get the drop, compounds it with the foul. Malik Hairston picking up the foul. That is number 4 on Malik Hairston with 9:17 left in regulation and his team trailing by 4.
Well, I mean, that was a pretty good shot by Hairston, but he's got to be smarter right now. He's done a lot of things that have demonstrated his experience, but you can't compound the matter. Once you miss a shot, best thing to do is fall back. You see what the problem is right now. 2 frontline guys with 4 fouls, and particularly Malik Hairston, who's been a very reliable second scorer behind Aaron Brooks.
And Jovan Catron, one of those guys with 4 back in for Hairston. I'm sure Hairston won't be on the bench too long as the team is trailing 61-57. Ernie Kent being challenged now in terms of the tactical moves to make. Humphrey, boy, has he been on fire. Lee Humphrey dropping in his 6th 3 of the afternoon, and he's got 20 points. Catron tapped out of bounds. Backcourt of the Gators is getting it done.
Well, Lee Humphrey, again, sizable advantage as far as reach over the smallish Oregon guards. And once he gets started, it's hard to stop him. I mean, Florida right now, 10 of 20 from beyond the arc, 50%. It's an amazing shooting afternoon.
And an amazing afternoon for the backcourt of Florida as the ball goes back Florida's way. Torian Green, Lee Humphrey as a backcourt have combined for 35 points. Ernie Kent trying to exhort his troops on. The Pac-10 tournament champions. They've faced adversity before. They've got something here. Can they battle back? Trailing by 7 with 8:27 left in the game.
And conversely, the orange-clad Gator fans standing up, they start to smell a little bit of blood here, and they want their team to start to put Oregon away.
And the man who's been drawing the blood has been that guy, Lee Humphrey. His 7th three.
But just as importantly, 7 of 12 from beyond the arc. This is a young man that you know is going to shoot that. He's played over 1,000 minutes, has only been to the free throw line 12 times, so he's not going much near the basket.
Tell you what, I may have to ask his grandmom for one of those pillows stuffed with chicken feathers as well, doing the job for him. Lee Humphrey gets a break to rest that hot hand.
And he also gets a tremendous ovation from the Florida faithful.
Brewer, Horford, Richard, Hodge, and Torian Green, the 5 in white defensively for the Gators. Lunan for 3. Marty Lunan drawing the Ducks to within 7. 7:52. We've got a break in the action. As we look at the game summary again, the rebounding advantage continues distinctly in favor of Florida, but then I'm admiring the team orientation of the Gators. It really doesn't matter who gets it done, big men or the backcourt.
Well, I'll tell you what, it comes down to the winning experience. When you know how to win and you've won a championship and you know the path, you don't mind who gets the glory. And today it's Lee Humphrey getting the glory. 7 of 12 from beyond the arc, 23 points. And again, you want to work inside out. Oregon doing a decent job in kind of at least controlling the big men for Florida. But again, it's about picking your poison. If you're going to help out down low, you got some three-point shooters. Lee Humphrey, the leader among them for the Gators.
Billy Donovan mindful that he's got a hot hand there, and Lee Humphrey drawing on his ex-player's experience. Humphrey sat for a grand total of 11 seconds during that timeout. Back in, don't call Billy Donovan a fool.
Now you got to ride the hot hand in a situation like this. Again, in an attempt to try to put this team away.
Brewer with the jump hop there, drawing the foul. Big fella makes it a pattern to get to the middle and draw the foul.
Again, the biggest problem that Oregon faces right now, they have to extend their defense, try to create some turnovers, try to create some poor shots, but the mobility of a guy like Corey Brewer and his length to get into the middle presents a major obstacle.
As well as Florida has certainly done under Billy Donovan's guidance. Hard to believe that they are a #1 seed for the first time in school history. As Joakim Noah comes back in, and Donovan, as I mentioned at the very top of the telecast, 11th year as a head coach there, and yet still the 3rd youngest in the SEC. Rebounded by Brewer.
And again, little things Oregon cannot afford not to accomplish. That time you don't block out the shooter, and he winds up with the rebound.
7:07 left. Florida up by 7. Clock out of bounds. It goes in the opposite direction. Ducks will have the ball. Lunan with the block. And again, the loose ball out of bounds goes to the Ducks. This is Aaron Brooks.
So that hard step out on the screen by Al Horford forces Brooks further away from the basket.
Tawan Porter has not found the range all night from 3-land. 0 for 9 is Tawan Porter. And again, this is a kid who's known adversity. He's battled it all his life, being a little man in a big man's game. Still not really showing overtly a lot of the frustration. Good hustle here on the out-of-bounds line. It will stay Gators ball. 20 seconds left on the shot clock. And again, these two teams battling for the right to go to Atlanta in the Final Four. The winner will meet UCLA. And the Bruins, we saw them last week in Sacramento. We saw an excellent performance the other day, and they have been playing well as Tawan Porter takes a seat on the bench.
He won't be there long because Ernie Kent still has to ride him, knowing how explosive the young man is and how streaky he is, but he gives him the seat for a little bit of perspective.
Taurean Green fouled by Aaron Brooks, and this will be number 4 on Aaron Brooks. And again, mindful of what many coaches say, when you get that opportunity to take it to the basket, usually good things happen.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to the fact that Taurean Green has been lurking around the three-point line as well, 4 of 6. He's having a pretty good night. And so now you have to play him for that jump shot. And again, the name of this game is getting the other guy out of position on the offensive end. And you make them respect one aspect of your game, you use that to create opportunities in other aspects of your game on the offensive end.
TG, Taurean Green dropping in the second free throw. 17 points on the afternoon for Taurean Green. Gators up by 9. And Brooks using the same philosophy, penetrating and drawing the foul in the process. And that's the 3rd foul on Brewer. Ducks refusing to let the Gators get a very large lead, but again, at the tempo, that 9-point lead, holding up well. Let's see if the Ducks can pick up the tempo. Good hands by Joakim Noah, showing again the versatility of the big men of Florida, being able to play out on the perimeter. That was a backcourt violation by Brooks.
Well, the argument is whether or not Noah touched it, and he did. Now there was a lost possession. Oh, no, he got possession right there, but then he stepped into the backcourt.
.550 left in the game. 9-point lead by the Gators. Stolen by Hairston. Safe shot, the dunk. 7-point lead.
You're right, the Ducks will not fly away, not just yet. And the way they can shoot the 3, even though they've been relatively cold, 5 of 16. You know, you always think that they've got a flurry in them, and Florida better recognize. And that's why they're a little more deliberate right now. Well, as soon as I say more deliberate, Taurean Green takes a 25-footer.
Malik Harrison, boy, he's played an outstanding all-around game, taking it strong to the hoop, too hard. Foul, it'll go the other way.
Well, Hairston recognizes he's got Horford on him and just beats him to the basket. Misses the shot, but Joakim Noah doing a nice job of following up defensively, covering his partner's back, and he beats Lewin to the rim.
4th personal foul on Marty Lunin, 4 on Hairston, 4 on Lunin, 4 on Brooks, and 4 on Catron for the Ducks.
And Lunin really has to focus on getting to the offensive glass. He hasn't given him much from the offensive end, and so with his size, Lunin has to make sure he continues the offensive rebound. Got there too late.
You see Joakim Noah on the bench being treated by the Florida trainer for a cut on his elbow. Meanwhile, Walter Hodge at the free throw line for the Gators, dropping home the first one. The 6-foot sophomore guard from Puerto Rico who played at the Florida Air Academy. We talked about his progress from freshman year to sophomore year, and a very good on-the-ball defender. Misses the second. Here comes Brooks. Here comes Brooks. 70-62. 5 minutes left in regulation. Brooks. Ducks refuse to give up. To take a look at Ernie Kent, a man who certainly, when you talk about pressure, he knows what pressure is all about. Teasing about his experience when he was over in Saudi Arabia coaching, where he was from 1980 to 87, and saying that with many armed guards at the portals at the arena where he was coaching the club pro team there, he had his passport on one table, his paycheck on the other, and they told him until he developed a winner, he couldn't leave to come back. He says that's pressure. I'll say. And he got it done. Horford down low. Walking.
Well, you had an example right there that Oregon now is going to go out and cover shooters. They're going to take their chances on one-on-one defense. And Al Horford with an unforced error right there gives Oregon another possession.
16th Florida turnover. 70-64, 4:34 left in regulation. Brooks blowing by, tipped by the big men. Noah with the rebound.
Sometimes you can go to the well one time too often, and that time Aaron Brooks tried to drop it, from angel height. But the big guys, again, of Florida, doing a nice job of covering the paint.
Hairston, Bryce Taylor, Chamberlain, Oguchi, Aaron Brooks, and Marty Lunan, the 5 in black, defensively for the Ducks.
And again, one-on-one situations now. Florida has to recognize and take their time and get it.
4 on the shot clock, and who better to put it in the hands of than Lunan? Foul down on this end, and it's going to go against Hairston, and if that's the case, he's gone.
Huge turn of events for the Oregon Ducks as Malik Hairston disqualified with his 5th foul on this call. He doesn't believe he did anything, but right here, you take a look, he's got a hold of Al Horford's arms, then he gets the opportunity to move away from it, but the official caught him. He thought that he was doing nothing, but the grab was what the official saw. Good call by the official. Tough luck for Malik Hairston.
And you saw the foul trouble remain still for the Oregon Ducks. Strong afternoon for Malik Hairston. 18 points, 5 rebounds, 3 timeouts still remaining for both squads. You see Oregon with 10 team fouls, Florida with 6. Horford at the free throw line. And again, I commented on the workmanlike effort of Florida collectively on the faces of the guys. They just go about the job no matter the challenge at hand. Horford banging home the second free throw. Horford with 6 on the afternoon. The job has been done. The damage has been done in the backcourt, but the big guys for Florida certainly have done the job on the glass. 3:43 left in regulation. 72-64. Tawan Porter, it's been that kind of afternoon for Tawan Porter. 0 for 8 from 3 land.
Well, he's gotten some open looks, but that wasn't one of them. Again, Lee Humphrey sticking with him. And then Humphrey at 6'2", able to extend an arm and make it difficult for the 5'6" Porter to shoot the jumper.
Chamberlain, Oguchi up in the face of Joakim Noah.
Well, again, you got to extend your defense if you're Oregon right now. There's no time to wait. And Florida recognizing that is just taking its time, looking to execute.
Green, rebounded by Bryce Taylor.
At least I thought they were looking to execute. You can get that shot anytime.
Oguchi blocked from behind by Horford. That's what Horford does well. This is Brewer. And a smart move to set it up and take more time off the clock with 2:50 left in regulation and up 72-64. Gators looking to get back to the Final Four as a champion for the first time since 2001 when Michigan State did it.
Al Horford hasn't given Florida much in way of offense, only 6 points, but his defense has been a constant. And you see right there the ability to avoid the contact, reach behind the offensive player and still get a hand on it. You know, he started out the game with a tremendous block and still hasn't given up on the defensive end despite the shortcomings on the offensive end.
Noah and Horford, top shot blocking duo in Gators history. They had 163 last season. Came into this game with 133. They've added 3 between them. 136 blocks between that duo. Stepping on the out of bounds line, it goes the other way. 2:27 left. Gators on top, 72-64. Brooks, Lunan, Taylor, Tawan Porter, and Chamberlain Oguchi, the 5 in black for the Ducks. And Brooks loses it out of bounds.
It was a good thought. He tried to split the defenders as Horford came with another hard hedge to try to force him wide. And Brooks trying to split the defenders, but again, fatigue will have enough to do with that. He's been out there for an awful lot of minutes and lost the handle.
Well, an excellent effort on the part of the Ducks. Florida averaging 79 points, nearly 80 points a game on the season, and they're at 72 now, so the Ducks certainly have done their part as well as possible. Foul on this end, and it goes against Bryce Taylor, his third.
Well, even though the game may be slipping away from Oregon, you know, again, a tip of the hat to Florida's defense. They showed up when they needed to. Horford in the middle, you know, the ability to cover the shooters, at least Porter for a period of time, although Porter, again, with some open looks, just flat out missed them. But really, it was also the Florida offensive pressure, particularly from the perimeter, that weighed heavily on Tawan Porter. Again, he's a freshman. He'll have another shot at it next year.
Two misses by Horford.
And look at Humphrey again, bothering Porter all the way.
And Porter continuing to play hard with a nice pass down low to Marty Lunin. And a timeout on the floor. 1:53 left, 6-point Gators lead. Len, you made the point as we take a look at Ernie Kent's squad that this is still a very tight ball game. Ernie Kent urging his troops on, and Ernie Kent has kept the feel of the game throughout and keeping his squad close.
Well, again, this is where I talked about defense wins championships. I know it's trite and often repeated, but it's the bottom line. Offense has gone south. Florida's had something to do with it. But in the end, 44% field goal percentage defense is what Oregon has been on the year. They're going to have to summon up something that's going to get them even sharper than that. They've got to also be able to cover the boards. Florida, if they do get a shot off, they've got to limit them to one shot. Now Oregon has to increase their opportunities for this last 1 minute and 47 seconds.
Gators plus 10 on the glass this afternoon certainly has helped their cause tremendously. Horford out high, defended by Lunin. 1:34 left in regulation. Brewer, jumper from the corner. Joakim Noah trying to keep it alive, does an excellent job. Talk about want and will and determination. Noah displayed it there.
And I just said it less than a minute ago, you can't allow the offensive rebound. 3 guys surrounding Joakim Noah, and he still finds a way to get to it. Again, the problem Oregon has had all afternoon, their inability to block out securely.
And if that's on Lunin, that's his 5th. Lunin out with 9 points and 4 rebounds. Good, solid effort on the afternoon for Marty Lunin of the Ducks. Ernie Kent's squad certainly has battled valiantly, and I'll tell you, many of Ernie Kent's colleagues thought he was absolutely crazy when he took over as head coach of that program. He gave the AD in writing a 10-year game plan. I'll elaborate in a second as Noah knocks home the first. Ernie Kent said that his team was going to win a Pac-10 title, a Pac-10 tournament title, Sweet 16, Elite 8, get to the Final Four, graduate 90% of his players, and get a new stadium, and also develop NBA talent. He's accomplished all but 2. The new stadium, what the Final Four isn't going to be there, and of course he has with the NBA players. Noah, 13 points and 13 rebounds. 1:20 left in regulation. Brooks, rebounded by Brewer. And he's fouled by Tawan Porter.
Basketball can be a humbling experience. And for a guy like Tawan Porter, who was at the top of the mountain Friday with 33 big points, only to come into the regional championship and be 0 from the field. It's an experience, obviously, he won't forget. And maybe this is the motivational thing when young men hit that bottom, that they go in and they increase their work ethic, increase their effort, and who knows? Obviously, the game's still not quite over. 3-possession ball game.
And believe it or not, Florida has not scored a field goal in the last 7 minutes. Chamberlain Oguchi drops home a basket for the Ducks. 1:01 left. 75-69 Gators.
Well, if Oregon is going to ultimately foul, only Noah and Horford are under 70%. But then again, there's a mystery of Lee Humphrey, who's only 9 of 12. As I mentioned, over 1,000 points in only 12 trips to the free throw line. And you see him, he's the guy that was running away from the ball.
Oguchi fouling Corey Brewer, who won the season. He's a 71% free throw shooter. Billy Donovan has seen his squad face all kinds of challenges this season, and we talked earlier about the guys he had come in to talk to his team about the challenge of repeating. I mentioned Bill Belichick of the New England Patriots fame, but he also had a Hall of Fame basketball player chat with him as well.
Well, Billy told us Jerry West had come in and spoken to his guys.
Today's Chevrolet players of the game: Aaron Brooks of the Ducks with 25 points. Lee Humphrey, the sharpshooter for the Gators, with 23. And I'm sure Jerry West had some pearls of wisdom to disseminate to them.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
55 seconds left. 77-69, three from the corner, off the mark. Loose ball picked up by Joakim Noah, and he's fouled by Jovan Catron, and that will be all for Catron. Jovan Catron giving it his best. Third Oregon Duck to foul out of the game this afternoon, going after the defending national champion Gators. And Catron, I guess, just soaking up the last few seconds here, because he indeed will take a seat on the bench as Adam Zahn, the senior forward, comes in for the Ducks, replacing Jovan Catron. 77-69, 47.5 remaining. And we'll see how that plays out as Noah is at the line. 13 points, 14 rebounds for Noah. Misses the first. We talked extensively about his shooting style. He has more side spin on the ball than backspin, but again, he's worked well with that.
And it works for him.
6 of 7 at the line. I'd say it works. Brooks blowing by. Porter. First three of the afternoon comes with 40.2 left in regulation. And stepping out of bounds. And folks, this is only a 6-point ball game if Oregon at this point can come alive from three-point land.
And anything can happen. If anybody watched the Division II National Championship yesterday, Winona State thought that they were going to get their second. They were going to repeat. And all of a sudden, the magic dust spread over Barton. And they come up with an improbable win.
Brooks. Got to find something soon. And he's hammered by Noah as he penetrates to the basket. Joakim Noah fouling Aaron Brooks. Second on Noah.
And boy, Billy Donovan had to walk to the end of the bench, probably maybe bite his lip, because he's thinking, fellas, what are we doing? Allowing them to score with no time elapsing.
And that's where I can hear in my memory banks the coach saying, wait a minute now, defense is with your feet, not reaching now, move your feet. First time at the line for Brooks. He drops it in. Aaron Brooks with a strong afternoon. Pac-10 scoring leader with 26.
Well, if I'm Oregon, particularly if Brooks makes this, you continue to try to extend the game, pick out the free throw shooter you want on the line, and then foul him. And again, Lee Humphrey, only 12 visits. He's getting as far away from that ball as he possibly can. And a 4-point game as Adam Zahn fouls Torian Green, 31.1 remaining. Well, Green, probably the best free throw shooter on this team, absolutely is, 86%.
Torian Green, as we've already noted, at the free throw line, the son of Sidney Green, former NBA player and college player at UNLV. First regular season collegiate game, home game that he played, was against the team that his father was coaching at the time, Florida Atlantic, as Green misses the first offering. Not over yet. He makes that one, but Florida has missed 13 at the line. 27 seconds left. Blocked by Brewer. And Brooks was trying to gain an advantage with that left hand, but he was caught.
Well, here's the drive right here. And yeah, he uses that left arm, but still the length of Corey Brewer.
And I mean length.
Right there, you look at the left arm, that would have been an offensive foul.
Well, the size advantage, and in this case, and certainly has been the case all afternoon, size did matter in the case of Florida, using its height advantage at key times. Good block by Brewer as he drops on the first to make it a 6-point lead by the Gators. Make it 7 with 24.2 left.
You kind of think when Brooks drives that his shooters would get in at least some sight lines where he can see him. And, oh, here he goes again. Tawan Porter not giving up, trying to extend the game for the Ducks.
A subtle tweak there that worked to the Ducks' advantage that you noticed, Len.
Well, on the last drive for Aaron Brooks, the one that Brewer blocked, none of his shooters got within his vision range where he could see them in sight lines. They were all behind him. This time, Brooks started with the drive and then kicked it behind him, knowing his shooters were back there. You know, on his penetration, he's got to be able to find people. But right now, it comes down to making sure that they can get a quick foul and force Florida back to the line.
17.2 left in regulation. Torian Green fouled by Adam Zahn. 81-77 Florida battling to get back to the Final Four. Oregon hanging in there.
Florida's still trying to make hay from the free throw line. Their last 14 points have come from the line. 14 of 22 over that stretch.
Torian Green off the mark at the free throw line.
And this is why when the coaches say at the end of practice, on the line, you better heed.
Green drops it in with 19. 11 seconds left. TP. Travel. They call him for a walk.
Well, that was a good switch out by Al Horford, you know, who has obviously a tremendous size advantage. Porter never could see the light of day.
Well, no give up for the Ducks, but Florida looks as if it will advance with 8.4 remaining. Florida will advance to take on the #2 seed Bruins of UCLA. And you talked about this earlier, that matchup there.
Well, UCLA looking for payback, this time trying to make it for real. In the end, they recognize they may not have been on their game in the championship battle last year. And as I said, a new UCLA, a defense that is even more assertive, more aggressive, that doubles down very well on the low block, something that you'll have to do against the size advantage that the Gators present and the talent that they present. But Florida right now, just a team that knows how to win.
Well, Florida got 44 points from his backcourt as there's one more foul committed with 1.4 remaining. 44 points from the backcourt of the Gators. Billy Donovan's team got it done. Lee Humphrey with 23. Torian Green with 21. The backcourt for Billy Donovan got it done today. So the Gators will get back to the Final Four, the first defending champion to get back to the Final Four in back-to-back seasons, as we mentioned, since Michigan State did it in 2001, and looking to repeat and become the first team to do that since the Blue Devils of Duke did it in the 91-92 season. Brewer, short. Well, the Buckeyes of Ohio State are already there. UCLA is there. Pencil Florida in, actually put them in ink. The third piece of the puzzle is there. The final piece will come up with the winner of the Georgetown, North Carolina game.